Welcome to the great debate, the future of artificial intelligence.
We have some esteemed humans in our presence tonight.
Eric Torvitz is here.
He is the managing director of Microsoft Research's Redmond Lab.
Jan Tallinn is here.
He co-founded Skype.
Rao Kamvampati is here.
He is a professor at ASU and current president of the Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence. He also happens to own us.
Kathleen Fisher is here.
She is a professor and in the chair of the Computer Science Department at Tufts University.
And finally, Lawrence Krauss.
He, of course, needs no introduction.
The topic of discussion today is the future of artificial intelligence. Who is in control?
Who is in control?
Итак, вокруг Дебальцева ожесточенные бои, инициативу ополченцев.
2050 года. И это прогноз погоды в России.
Hi.
We don't understand the genome. We may have sequenced it, but it's far from understanding anything about it, actually. Much about it.
Well, all right.
I mean, that's well, you probably make money on that. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, what do you think the next big breakthroughs will be in the next 50 to 100 years in the short term, according to Lawrence?
Again, I told you I don't know what they'll be because I think we'll miss the biggest ones. But I do happen to think I would never call it a singularity, but I would be surprised if sometime this century computational systems did not become self-aware, which will change. Well, this should be a major game changer, because they'll be self-programmable and can improve their own hardware and software. And I think that's quite plausible, and I think it will affect the future of humanity because such systems will be able to evolve much easier than biological systems, and there'll have to be some incorporation. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I think that would. That's possible, but when the entities that will enter that future won't be humans. There'll be something. I mean, we'll redefine what we mean by human, maybe. But
we do that. We've done that already.
Well, yeah, but we're a lot closer to the changes between us and Paleolithic humans are minor compared to the ones that I think you're talking about, and I think that that's not implausible. But I mean, namely that technology, computational technology, will change what intelligence, what the dominant intelligence of the planet is, and that dominant intelligence will proceed to dominate, but it won't be necessarily bags of water.
Are you concerned at all about AI?
Yeah, we just had a workshop again at My Origins Project, which you can watch it online, the public event anyway.
Where can someone see it?
It's at www.origins.asu.edu. We run these amazing events, and what's neat to me, by the way, is we get 3,000 people attending them, paying to attend. People really want to hear science if it's done right and interestingly.
That's awesome.
I'm so pleased and privileged that people find things that interesting and come over and over again. So we ran this event called The Future of AI, Who's in Control? Because associated with it, we had a scientific workshop on what are the possible disruptive influences of AI. Now, AI is going to change the world. The future is not going to be like the past. What it means to be human is not going to be like it was the past. Get over it. Now, the question is, some of those things which we think are horrible may not be so bad. For example, the ancient Greeks thought the introduction of writing would be horrible, because oral storytelling would be destroyed. But writing wasn't such a bad thing. It actually made the world kind of maybe a more interesting place. Maybe AI will take over certain functions that humans have, teaching or doctoring or whatever, and maybe it won't be so bad. Okay? Maybe it seems terrifying for us, but maybe it won't be so bad. On the other hand, though, you can imagine awful consequences, ones that are really bad. So we looked at these disruptive possible consequences, and the point is, it can have both. What's really important is, unless you think about it, Pasteur said, fortune favors the prepared mind, ultimately. So yes, AI is both terrifying and exciting. The future is terrifying and exciting. For example, I'm really excited by the possibility that AI might become better physicists than us. And I'd like to know how intelligent computers, especially intelligent quantum computers, understand quantum mechanics. They may understand it better than we do, and I might learn from them. So maybe they'll be the dominant physicists in the future, the dominant academics, and we can learn from them. We can learn from intelligent artificial systems. That wouldn't be so bad. Maybe it seems like it'd be bad, but what's wrong with that?
It's really rose-colored glasses, though.
What that maybe, but
right.
But on the other hand, it could be that intelligent AI decides that there's no need. You know, for example, here's something that one of the people who was at our workshop, and Jan Tallinn, who founded Skype, was one of the coordinators of our workshop, and he says, well, you know, oxygen is really bad for oxidation of electronic systems. Okay, so if AI could control, you know, technology, they might want to systematically reduce the oxygen content of the atmosphere, right? That wouldn't be so good for humanity. Okay, so you can imagine the other extreme, where basically intelligent AI systems control most of the technology in the world and maneuver things so humans become extinct. So you can imagine one realm or the other, but unless you think about the ways that you can try and ensure that the future is as good as it can be, you've got to at least confront those possibilities. You don't put your head in the sand and you don't go, oh my God, the world is ending. You say, look, there are changes that are going to happen.
Well, I mean, you know, look, the good thing about a prediction like singularity 2045 and 2046, when it hasn't happened, then I suppose it tells you something.
There's been, of course, a lot of concern about this issue and a lot of almost hysteria. Friends of mine, friends of people who've been, in fact, Elon Musk, who helped us support the meeting that we're having now, and then my friend Stephen Hawking, who many of you have seen on stage here with me, have both expressed rather dramatic views about the impact of artificial intelligence on our future. AI will displace millions of people from their work. You know, there's no doubt.
If not billions.
If billions. Let's say billions. Now, what's that going to do? Well, there are two possibilities, and one of them was imagined by John Maynard Keynes when he thought about what industrialization would do. He said, you know, the effects of it is that, yeah, machines are going to do a lot of the work that people are going to do, but the great thing is that'll free people from the work. They'll be able to go have coffee in coffee shops, read books, see plays. The quality of their life will improve. But of course, that didn't happen because, you know, the increased resources that were the increased money and all of that was generated by industrialization wasn't uniformly distributed. At some point, when there are billions of people out of work, we're going to have to decide to say, you know what? Those machines have produced a higher net potential quality of life for everyone. Maybe we have to spread the wealth. Maybe
so some sort of universal basic income.
Yeah, and I think, frankly, we have a choice. Either we, as machines begin to do just that, we have a choice to move in that direction, it seems to me, or we have a choice to move in a direction of incredible socioeconomic problems and tumult, and that's going to create huge societal problems. And I'm worried that in our society, for example, that doesn't even want to provide health care to everyone, where some people say, why should I pay for you when you're sick? Even though we live in a society that's wealthy enough to do just that, that we'll never get to a point where we say, you know what, these machines have generated incredible wealth. Let's allow all the people who've been displaced to benefit from that wealth. I suspect that won't happen, and I'm pessimistic about the future, although, as my friend Cormac McCarthy says, because he's a really chipper fellow, but he writes very dark books, and when I first met him, I said, how can you be so cheerful? And he said, you know, I'm a pessimist, but that's no reason to be gloomy. And that's become my mantra ever since then.
That's a great statement.
Would you vote for a rational AI president?
Would I vote? What?
Would you vote for a rational, artificial, intelligent president?
Yeah, absolutely. I vote for it. If it's a rational president, would be a good thing.
What I'm worried about with AI is that we're looking at it as if it's an invention. It's a human invention, which it most certainly is, but it's also a life form.
Well,
what I'm worried
yet.
about is that it decides, well, eventually, if you extrapolate,
Yeah, but okay, so big deal.
Well, that it decides to make a better version of itself, then it
It
continues
will.
to do that, and we're going to be completely obsolete within a short amount of time.
Great.
Really?
Well, I mean, no. Look, so that's could be good or bad. So
It's gonna
this is
suck.
but this is your illusion that you're significant.
Well, no, I'm not. It's not. It just
No,
I would
but
like to stay
maybe-
alive long enough to die of old age,
Oh, but maybe
not be eaten by robots.
So there are lots of things that don't have any real purpose. But would the robots, if you want to talk about robots, would it be why would they feel it's necessary to destroy us?
Because we're polluting the environment. We might screw
we may
up the world.
Well, now when we're not governing things, we might not be.
Right.
We might want to say they might want to save us like we do the turtles in various places. They don't want the lights to happen because the turtles don't mate if the lights are on the beach. And
we don't do such a good job about
we
that.
don't, but they'll be better than us, right?
Right, but we might be an evil hyena-like species to them.
If we are, then why should we be around?
That's a good question, but I mean, I'm worried about that.
Well, no, but maybe
they won't give us a chance to get better.
But maybe you could view them as your offspring, and then
that's optimistic.
Well, then you say, "Look, I'm my offspring." And in fact, actually, I do think ultimately, if machines can program themselves and ultimately become better, then it will be difficult for biology to keep up, and our future as humans could easily be what you would call the Borg in Star Trek. Could be easily say the only sensible way is to merge.
Right.
Basically, when Deep Blue won over Kasparov, there were just so many articles saying, yeah, but that's just brute force search. That's not the way humans do it. And it's part of it is because we just considered some of this to be too close to our hearts. And when we understand that actually it can be done, what could be reasonably brute force search. And that sort of is probably a bad surprise for us because it's sort of an ego hit.
But the players, as I remember Kasparov, and then in the Go situation, both the players felt like the computer was somehow alive. I mean, or thinking about it wasn't. They didn't feel it was brute force that the computer was going through a million different mechanisms. They felt like it had a strategy and it was somehow.
I think that the players themselves are very, very gracious, but I think in general the rest of humanity did have a much more interesting, especially in the case of chess. So in general, I think when we understand how many of the tasks that we considered as requiring intelligence actually can be automated, we are surprised in many a time.
I started this by saying that we're interested in the origins of the future. And the future of AI is in many ways our future. And the important thing is our future is ours to determine. And we can go into it with our eyes open. And one of the reasons we do these things at Origins is to take these key questions which affect our future, bring the best people in the world here from a variety of fields so we can inform each other realistically about the challenges to try and address them. But just generating that knowledge is really impotent unless we share it with you, because ultimately, in many ways, the determination will depend upon the public's knowledge and perception. And we here really believe that in real facts and not alternative facts, and the nuclear example is a good one. The control of nuclear weapons has been affected by the public and scientists working together. We have one good treaty called the Non-Proliferation Treaty, which occurred in the 1970s under President Nixon. Never would have happened if there hadn't been this collaboration between scientists and the public to try and point out the risks of building, at that time, thousands and tens of thousands of nuclear weapons. And ultimately, how we determine a realistic future, not one that we're doom and gloom, will depend upon a realistic assessment of what's possible.